Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station, coming to you from the Nelson and Tasman region. In this week's news roundup, missing German turns up, Nelson MP highlights budget benefits, drugs, firearms recovered in police operation, and comedian Paul Ego drops into Mainland. Police have been notified by a friend of German tourist Richard Schwabe that he made contact on Friday morning and is safe in Golden Bay. Mr. Schwabe, aged 19 years, is from Germany and was reported as missing on the 13th of May. The last known contact with him was on the 17th of March. Police inquiries confirmed he was in Takaka on that date. And now Nelson MP Dr Nick Smith shares his thoughts on what benefits Nelsonians can expect from the 2014 budget. The 2014 budget just announced had a budget it had to stay within, and it wasn't extravagant, but there are benefits, aren't there? You've described it as a family-friendly budget. In real terms, how will it help the individual Nelson households?
We're looking at a gain of about $10 million for Nelson householders. Those gains come from the sort of family-friendly package that over the country is worth about $500 million. The bits that I'm particularly pleased with is both the paid parental leave and the parental tax credit. That will be great news for new parents. The extension of both the free doctor's visits and prescriptions is worth about $2 million per year to parents of primary age children. And then we've also increased the funding for both our early childhood centres and our school operating budgets. That will again add about another $4 million a year into what we're spending on Nelson schools. Now, I'm not saying they're the biggest amount of money that's ever been spent. This government has always been of a view that we need to be really careful with the budget. If we took what we inherited in 2008, we would have a deficit this year of about $5 billion, not dissimilar to what our Aussie cousins are having to deal with. And though this budget is really the accumulation of 5 years of hard yards, of pruning to get back to the position where we are in the black, and that puts New Zealand in a much stronger position than most countries in the world where they're still running substantive deficits.
In real terms, also, I guess, people will be able to benefit, when they build a house. Government suspending import taxes on most building materials. That's to bring down the cost of construction. So, in real terms, how will this translate?
Well, this is an initiative in the budget that I've been working particularly hard on. It's part of the government's broader program of improving housing affordability. There are no magic bullets in this space, but we need to work on every front of land supply, the infrastructure costs, the compliance costs, and the budget has made particular progress on the issue of materials. The issue with materials is that Kiwis are paying about and as much as 30% more for products like plasterboard, like nails, like reinforcing steel. And so we've made a decision and today are passing through Parliament legislation that will remove those duties and tariffs. The problem for New Zealand is that we're quite a small market. There's only one plasterboard plant in New Zealand, and that if we are to get genuine competition and better value for money, then it's not that I want people using non-Kiwi made product, it's rather that I want the market to have that competitive pressure to make sure that Kiwis building a home are getting access to the most competitively priced building products in the world.
Do you have any concerns around the forecast surge in migration in relation to the housing market?
Well, actually, it's a positive story. There's no change in the number of migrants that are being let into New Zealand through our immigration policy. What's changed is that we were losing 45,000 people a year to Australia, bright young Kiwis who saw more hope in the Australian economy than in New Zealand. And that's dropped from 40,000 a year to just 4,000 per year. In other words, the drift of talented Kiwis to New Zealand is stopping. Now, that's something we should celebrate. In fact, you probably well recall John Key standing in the stadium in Auckland, saying we were losing that many people per year and he wanted to change it, and the reality is that has changed. Now that brings with it a new set of challenges in that rather than having a population in decline, we're now looking at a population in growth. The way I describe it is that people are voting with their feet that New Zealand is doing well, and that is to be celebrated.
4 people, including 2 men from Nelson, have been charged following a large police operation in the Buller area of the Tasman Police District on Wednesday. Search warrants were executed at 5 properties and 4 people are now facing drugs and firearms charges. Up to 18 kilograms of dried cannabis head was recovered at an Anangahua address, along with plants still in the drying process. 2 sawn-off shotguns, a cut-down .22 rifle, an AK-47 and a .303 rifle plus ammunition were also found at that address. Amongst those charged, a 44-year-old Upper Moutere man has been charged with possession of Class A drug methamphetamine, and a 29-year-old Marahau man has been charged with cultivating cannabis, possession of cannabis for supply and theft of electricity after a substantial indoor growing operation was located at a rented property in Reefton. Police also recovered 8 mature plants and 283 grams of dried cannabis and $7,000 cash at the address. Police investigating a fire at the Rising Sun Hotel on Waimea Road are seeking assistance from the public to identify a man seen on CCTV footage in the vicinity of the fire. Police and fire service investigators believe the fire in the early hours of Monday the 14th of April was deliberately lit. Police are appealing to anyone who recognises this man to come forward as they believe they may be able to assist with the investigation. Anyone with information should contact Detective Sergeant Mark Caveney or Detective Neil Kitchen at Nelson Police on 546 3840. Information can also be given anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. The Asthma Foundation is strongly advising people with respiratory illnesses to try and stay out of hospital this winter by asking their doctor or nurse about a free influenza vaccination. Dr. Kyle Perrin, Medical Director of the Asthma Foundation, says the flu season will be kicking in soon and it's important for people with respiratory conditions to get their free flu vaccines this winter. Last year, over 1 million New Zealanders had a flu vaccination, around 23% of the population. The flu vaccine is free for children under age of 5 with significant respiratory illnesses, people with chronic health conditions, people with respiratory conditions, people with asthma who use a preventer, and everyone 65 years and over. Chrissy Small took to the streets of Nelson to ask people if they were keen to get the jab.
Excuse me, do you get flu jabs?
No, I don't. I never have.
Right, any particular reason?
I've heard from a lot of people that it's not that effective.
Never had a flu shot yet.
Any particular reason why?
No, I don't get crook.
It works for me.
Yeah, great.
No, I haven't.
Would you ever want one?
I don't know much about them.
I did last year because I was pregnant, but I've been advised not to bother.
Okay. By anyone in particular, a health professional?
Yeah, health professional said if you're a small child or an elderly or susceptible to viral infections, if you're a healthy adult, then there's no need. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and generally not into the whole immunising concept.
Okay, fair enough.
Had one probably about 6 years ago and got sick straight after it, so
Put me
off.
Yep.
Don't know what's in it.
Right.
So I'll pass on that. Don't trust them.
Okay, fair enough.
As a biologist from way back, I like to keep my immune system really nice and active. And yeah, I don't need them at this stage.
No.
Perhaps when another 20 years when I get older.
There's been a noticeable surge in demand for food bank services. Mike Gibson of Food Bank told Mainland News that demand had increased, with it peaking in November last year, but demand remained high, and he estimated 25 families a week, involving an estimated 240 people a month, are using the Nelson Food Bank service. He says these figures don't include double-up users. Council has just launched a survey seeking feedback to help inform the revitalisation of the suburb of Stoke. This is based on the prediction that a staggering 3/4 of Nelson's population growth between now and 2045 will occur in Stoke. How did Council arrive at this prediction, and what is the allure of living in Stoke?
I think the allure of living in Stoke is it's a fantastic sunny place. It's flat. It's got, with the fabulous Stoke Hills behind, so you get either beautiful views if you want views, you can be on the flat if you want flat. It's close to the beach. It's got a fantastic little village centre, brilliant schools. It just is a great place to live, and I think that's what the residents of Nelson are telling us. I talk to real estate agents and they say, look, if you're going to buy a house and you're not sure if you're going to be in Nelson for a long time, buy in Stoke, because somebody will always want to buy it again. So yeah, I just think it's that popularity of all those factors. And in terms of the growth, what we're looking at here is where we've got land available for development. So we've got the Ngāwhatu Valley, Marsden Valley available for development. And looking at those census figures that say to us, Stoke is still really, really popular, and that's not going to change.
And so what kinds of questions is Council asking in the survey?
We want to know what sort of facilities people want, what sort of services. We've got money in this year's annual plan for the Green Meadows development, so we're really keen to move forward with that recreation and community facility for Green Meadows. I don't know, Joya, if you've spent much time down at Green Meadows, but I have to say those changing rooms that are still there are not a fine example of council facilities, and they really need sorting out. So we're working alongside some of the sporting clubs who are really keen to invest in Stoke. So looking to work with the Stoke Rugby Club, Tennis Club, Nelson Cricket, to see if we can come up with a great recreational facility. But the other feedback we had when we launched last week was around the commercial hub in Stoke. And it's great to see some development starting to occur there. We've got some development on the old Stoke Rugby Club proposed. I'm really pleased to see that happening. But the retailers in Stoke said, actually we just need a bit more space. And Strawbridge Square car park, I describe it as a panel beater's delight. So I think we've got a bit of work to do there. Yeah.
Now, some might say that there's a Sexton Stadium, and a lot of sporting events happen there, and so there's no crossover here, is there? Though this is completely separate and different.
Yeah, this is quite different, and I think it's important that we don't just rely on the Sexton as being the point of delivery for all participation sport in Nelson. We're a city that actually, when you look at us, we fit around a bay. We're quite a long city, and I think it's important that every community in Nelson has a sense that this is their place, this is the heart of their community. And it is around more than just a sports centre. So what we're looking to create is a community centre. And I know for the young people in Stoke, they're really enthusiastic about having a focus on a place they can go to and a place they feel belongs to them.
Fantastic.
Nelson City Council's Stoke revitalisation, what would you like to see happen for this area?
I think there's got to be a new club rooms go up over there, new rugby club rooms.
Okay.
That would be definitely an asset to the town.
Absolutely.
A skate park for the young kids to go to would be fantastic. The only one I know of is in Nelson and in Richmond, so it's just a bit far for the kids to go.
Well, anything that I've got in mind is very good, because I used to shop at Stoke. I lived at Tahuna and I used to shop at Stoke. Yes. So I think it's a good idea. It wants a bit of a lift up.
Right. You like it the way that it is?
Yeah. Happy the way it is.
So no parking meters?
Exactly, no parking meters. It'd be great.
Hard to say, really. I do shop around here and everything, but sort of boost it up a bit. Yeah, it needs sort of these, a lot of shops, things over here, be sort of to try and improve the shopping here and encouraging more people here.
Yep.
That's all I can say, really.
Right.
The biggest thing they could do in this whole city, I'm a taxi driver in the city, the biggest thing they could do in this whole city to liven the place up a bit and make it a bit more bright at night time, be put new light bulbs in the whole place. It's just so dull and dark and ugly.
At least not having the parking meters, that's for sure. And I don't know that we need much done. Probably a little more for the young people, but apart from that, I don't think so.
And finally, it was a barrel of laughs on stage at the Theatre Royal on Tuesday night this week as the 2 Degrees Comedy Convoy Tour kicked off in Nelson. TV3's 7-day star Paul Ego hosts a high-octane 2-hour stand-up comedy showcase, guaranteed to be funny as, with well-oiled international and Kiwi comedians touring nationwide. I had the opportunity to talk with Paul in the Mainland studio prior to the convoy's performance on Tuesday. Stars of the showcase are British comedians Carl Donnelly, here for the first time, and Marcus Birdman, who is talking on divorce, alongside hilarious Kiwis Justine Smith and crack-up magician Jared Fell.
Bang.
Paul Ego, what do you like about Nelson so far since you've been here for around about 3 minutes?
Well, so far, I think the mist is great. It's very Bronte. It's very Wuthering Heights, and I love the building that we're in now, which has probably more large satellite dishes per capita than any other, American city in New Zealand. And no, Nelson's always a good time, and I don't get down the South Island very much, so it's nice that you've brought down the English weather today, because we've got English acts on the convoy, and we've got some drizzle to make them feel at home. It's awesome.
Now, who are these other people with you on the tour?
Oh,
and
I don't know, to be honest, Joya.
Special?
I don't know who they are, but they are all very special. I basically got a text saying, look, we've got some very special people coming on the convoy, and when they're not pushing trolleys, they're doing comedy gigs, and apparently they're really good at both of them. No, I do know them. Justine Smith, Justin to her friends, is a fantastic Kiwi comic who's kind of she's sort of like a cross between, say, Cheryl West from Outrageous Fortune and a really horny female orangutan. And if you combine those two, that's kind of her. Big personality, big laughs from Justine. She's great. Jared Fell is a magician / comedian. I think he's a magician who slashes on comedians and joins those two worlds together very well. So there'll be lots of audience interaction with him. And then Marcus and Carl are both great British acts. And Marcus recently divorced, I think, as you mentioned there, from Carl, which I don't think a lot of people realise. So the van is going to be quite sort of tense, I guess, because I'm not sure the two of them are talking. But a really good cross section, a nice little sort of tapas tasting platter of comics with something for everyone's taste.
What about you, Paul? Were you born funny, or what's the story?
Yeah, apparently I came out with a clown nose in a small car when I was born, and I don't know if anybody really believes they're funny personally. I think normally it takes another person to go, you should do that, and that certainly happened for me. I'd performed a lot when I was younger in sort of school productions and played the Wicked Wizard in our 7th form year of Aladdin, and I had long green fingernails that my mum made me out of an old hose, and so I'd kind of been on stage, but I'd never done comedy until I was 28, and somebody sort of nagged me into doing it, and so I did it just to kind of shut them up, really.
So exactly how long have you been at it?
Well, I started in 1994 in London, so into the 20th year now. Yeah. So long enough that most of the time I think I know what I'm doing.
I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you always want to be a comedian? Was there something else that you had in mind?
No, I was a singer to start with. My parents entered me in Talent Quest when I was sort of 12, 13, singing kind of Neil Diamond songs and Elvis Presley songs, and always enjoyed singing and using the microphone, but and certainly enjoyed watching and listening to comedy. My parents are English. I was born in the UK. And they always used to play Goons and Peter Sellers records and Monty Python records all the time, and so I loved enjoying comedy with them. But I never thought of doing it, as I say, until I was sort of late 20s, and I kind of wishing now that I'd started earlier. But I'm enjoying the twilight years of my comedy life.
I'm sure you are. And people usually give up trying to do what you do. How do you do what you do so well?
Well, I think for me a lot of it comes down to having the support of family and also having other interests. I mean, as well as I think if you focus solely on comedy and think that that's going to bring you an income in an industry as small as New Zealand, I think you'll be quite disappointed, and you could get burnt out quite quick. I think we're at an advantage now. We've got shows like 7 Days and Best Bits, and there's other things that comedians can kind of aim towards getting into. But most comics that I know, including myself, do stuff other than stand-up. I was in radio for a long time. Before that, I was a sign writer. I was doing comedy at night. I was sign writing during the day. So I think the classic work-life balance scenario gives you a better handle sort of keeping a balance in your life, and also it gives you other stuff to talk about. I think if you're only ever hanging out with comics and just sleeping till 7 and then getting up and going doing the gig, you're not having any life experience to actually write stuff about, because otherwise you're just going, oh, I went to a gig today. That's not very relatable to many people in the audience.
Absolutely. Now, are you two-faced? Is there a funny and serious side to Paul?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm actually quite a grumpy person at home, and I think my sons are aware just how grumpy I can be. I think a lot of that comes from my kind of English heritage. My dad loves comedy, but is quite a serious man in other ways, and I save all my kind of seriousness and my anger for my kids. Definitely, I don't hit them, I've got to say, but I'm certainly not very funny around them. And then when I go on stage, that's my kind of funny time. Actually, this festival that we're in the middle of now is the first time that my son, who's 14, my eldest boy, has ever seen me do stand-up comedy before. And he came along to my shows in Auckland, came along to my opening night, and really loved it. Well, he said he did. I kind of believe him. And which was really cool, because a lot of the show is about him, so I was quite nervous with him being in the audience, but no, he really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was great.
And do they take after you, your sons? Do they take after you at all?
Yeah, they are both pretty funny, and they're both great at accents, and they're boys anyway, so they talk a lot of rubbish, as most boys do. But we have a lot of fun together, and my poor wife, who's been with me for 25 years and now has another 2 men in the house as well, we just talk a lot of bollocks, and a lot of the time she just goes, you just hear the door slam and she's just gone shopping, she'll go to Westfield for a couple of hours and just see some normal people.
Now, why kickstart your show in Nelson? Do we remind you of guinea pigs?
Yeah, Nelson, yes, very much. I know a lot of people in Nelson are very small, and
excuse me.
Yeah, well, you see, cute, lovely coat. You've got a great coat, wet nose, obviously very healthy station. This, and and we own guinea pigs now. My youngest son's got guinea pigs, and so when I spoke to the comedy festival, I said, look, I'd be interesting, and I've been spending a lot of time around the guinea pigs. Do you have anywhere like that? And they went, well, Nelson's very good. They big fans of carrot. A lot of dry kibble people down here love, and they like getting outside, but only if it's in an area of about 2 by 1 metres. Yep.
But more seriously, you're obviously, you no doubt are in contact with New Zealand's sexiest man, that is Guy Williams himself from Nelson. What's that like, and are you expecting Nelson people to be as sexy as him?
Well, I think if Guy Williams has been voted New Zealand's sexiest man, then Nelson people really do need to get out a lot more, and hopefully they'll be doing that by coming to see our shows. Look, sexy is it's a moving word, isn't it? It seems to change the parameters. Yes. I can understand the appeal of Guy. He doesn't do it for me personally.
Do you think he's sexy because he's been living in Nelson?
No. I think he's sexy because he's kind of like Clark Kent made love to a giraffe, isn't he? He's got that tall look of intelligence, but he's a little bit kind of weird. And it looks actually surprisingly good in boxer shorts, so he's got it all going on.
Oh. Well, when you are most creative, in a deep moment, is that in a deep moment of solitude, or do funny thoughts sort of come to you in the middle of chaos or mundaneness, like in a supermarket or something like that?
I think it's a combination of all those things. For me, the time that I am most creative is really when I'm on the stage. I think the thing I find hardest is actually sitting down and disciplining myself to actually write on a particular thing, or just go, right, what's funny? Let's write about some stuff. Most of the stuff that I personally like of mine, that I've been doing the longest, is stuff that's just happened out of a generic conversation with somebody in the audience that then leads me into this other kind of weird area where something else happens. And so most of the stuff that I create has come from something that I've done on stage. So yeah, I guess it's amid all that chaos, a little thing bubbles to the surface, and then I go, well, let's go and explore that. And sometimes it leads to something great, and then other times it's just a cul-de-sac, and you go, I really should have seen the sign.
So it's just the one show in Nelson.
The one, yeah.
What can people expect to see when they, go to the theatre tonight?
Well, I don't know what they're going to expect, and I really don't know what they're going to get, because the cross-section of comics that we have is so vastly different. What I will say is there will be something for everyone in there. There will be not one genus of person who's in the audience who will be, I came along wanting to see magic, but I saw this, or I came along wanted to. Every comic is really, really different, so we'll touch every single button in the audience, not individually because it would take a long time, but I reckon everyone will love it.
Audience participation, there'll be plenty of that.
Yeah, heck yeah. I encourage that. Feel free to shout some stuff out. If you can wind up looking funnier than the comics, good luck to you if you think that's going to happen. But if you want to give it a go for it. We love it.
A lot of people come to Nelson and they don't want to leave. Do you think that might happen to you?
Yeah, well, I think already our van's broken down, so that might already be happening, I think, and I will certainly be cruising past the local real estate agent on the way to the hotel to see if there's a good rental we can pick up, maybe stay for a few more months.
Yes.
It is a lovely place. I've been here, a few times before, and really looking forward to it. It's only one night. We're only here for one night, but we'll have a good time, I'm sure.
But if it doesn't, have that hold on you,
Yes.
expect to move on to where tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're moving on to Christchurch, which is also in the South Island. You may have heard of it. It's further down. So we go Christchurch, then we go Oamaru. We might go to both places. I don't know. If we've got time, we'll go Oamaru and Oamaru. We might join them together, go Oamaru. Who knows? And then we go to Invercargill, and then once we've hit the heady heights of Invercargill, it's back up to the North Island again to do a little circuit through there.
So you come back now you're here.
We will do. Thanks for having us.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Hi, I'm John McMillan at the Nelson Power Tool Centre. We have great prices on all the top quality brands of power tool. Tools and equipment at our showroom, 146 Tahunanui Drive in Nelson. The Nelson Power Tool Centre, the specialists that stand behind and service what we sell.
Discover the Belgrove Tavern just 20 minutes south of Richmond on State Highway 6 for meals, functions, weddings, barbecues and garden bar with lots of room for kids. Come and see us.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Hi, my name's Ian Mortimer. Mortimer Auto Upholstery is your one-stop shop for all your upholstery needs. We do car and boat interiors, boat canopies, ute tonneau covers, canvas and PVC fabrication. Call in and see us in Oxford Mews, 72 Oxford Street, Richmond.
It's not too late to join the Heart Foundation 4-hour team spin relay at my gym. Get a team together. It's recommended a minimum of 4, but you can have more or less, it's up to you. And spin a bike from 4 to 8 p.m. next Friday, the 23rd of May. Contact the Heart Foundation or visit mygym.co.nz for registration information. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thanks for joining us. We'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow. Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.